Hi, today we're going to be talking about nutrition. Yes, of course, you're like, really, Dr. Shelly, nutrition? So, needless to say, I look forward to any of your nutrition questions. If you don't catch this Facebook Live, feel free to put any comments or questions in the comment section or post to the comment section. I'll be happy to answer your questions and give you my 2 cents on it. Well, anyway, is this your first time joining me for the Facebook Live? I am your host, Dr. Shelly. I'm a board-certified internal medicine, obesity medicine physician in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. And so I also have the Thrive for Life online program, as you see here, which is starting tomorrow. I'm so excited. We're getting ready for an 8-week program where we're going to learn more about how to thrive, how to live healthy, and to have a transformation. So without further ado, let's get started to talk about nutrition. Now, how would you describe yourself? Would you say when we talk about nutrition, you're like, I'm totally on top of this. I know what I'm doing. I'm like this person on the bottom, right here where I have my little food journal. I know what I'm eating. Or are you like this other lady here where it's like, oh God, I can't close my mouth. Everything I see, I eat. I see, I eat it. Like there's nothing that I can do to stop myself. Or if you're like this person on the top right, where your hands are just handcuffed, where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so overwhelmed sometimes eating because I don't eat the right things and it's just frustrating. But needless to say, today we're going to talk about what are some healthy habits, what are some healthy ways that we can eat without feeling that handcuffed. Okay. Now the first step is, how do you choose your diet or what type of diet to choose? The one secret I tell people is that studies show that majority of the diets that are out there, you lose weight. But the question is, which diet can you stick to? Which diet works for not only your lifestyle, which diet works for you? I know personally, I had tried the really low carb diet and it wasn't even all that low carb. I think it was like less than 100 grams per day. And I struggled. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I could do this. It just wasn't for me. Whereas I have a family member, she's able to do the keto diet, less than 20 grams of carbs, no problem. In fact, she thrived on it. She lost 30 pounds with the keto diet because it worked for her. So you really want to find ways or diets that you're able to, that's going to work for you. And so a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, you need to have your personal preferences, your cultural factors. If you're somebody who you always eat rice and tortillas, it may be a big stretch to say, look, no more rice, no more tortillas, because this is what you're used to. And so you may just say, hey, instead of saying never again, I may just say maybe not as much. So you would just limit that if that's the case. Also looking at your medical conditions, like do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? There's certain diets that actually help with reducing your high blood pressure, such as the DASH diet, that looks at lowering your sodium level to less than 2.5 grams of sodium per day. Or if you're a diabetic, you may want to do the low-carb diet, where you're lowering your carbs with 45 grams of carbs per meal. So it just depends on what's going on. And then, of course, cost. So the paleo diet, which is basically eating like the caveman, can be quite costly because you're eating a lot more meat, you're eating a lot more vegetables. And of course, we all know recently with inflation that meat has gone up. And so that could be a little bit costly for the budget. So you want to be able to find a diet that works for you, that you're able to stick with, because what you can be consistent with will help you to thrive in the future and continue to lose weight. So let's get into it. The do's and don'ts of healthy principles. So do number 1, eat healthy proteins and fats. So as you see in this picture, we have plant-based protein and we have animal-based protein. And a lot of times we kind of focus a lot on that animal-based protein. But I would recommend also incorporating some plant-based proteins, some lentils, some garbanzo beans, some tofu, balancing that out so that it's not that you're only only eating meat. Also trying lean meat if you're eating meat, eating turkey, eating chicken, eating, fish. These are other ways that are more leaner than eating your heavier saturated fat like pork and things of that nature. Also incorporating vegetables, leafy greens, fruits, berries, nuts, legumes, whole grains. These are all very healthy and they actually help fill you up. You're not as hungry when you eat them. A lot of times we kind of skimp on the vegetables. We prefer our starches or our carbs and our meat, but you definitely need a balance. Eating vegetables, and we'll talk about this, the complex carbs actually helps with your digestive system so that you're having a regular bowel movement. So it's important to kind of eat your vegetables, eat your fruits, making sure you get 3 to 5 servings of vegetables and fruits, which is important. Next, like I mentioned, complex carbs over simple carbs. So as we see here under simple carbs, those are like your cookies, those are like your candy, those are like your cakes. These are very simple carbs. They're broken down rather easily. They kind of spike your blood sugar, whereas the complex carbs are digested a little bit slowly. And sometimes because when you think of fruit and vegetables, they have cellulose, which is the component of the sugar of the different fruits and vegetables. And it's not really broken down as well in the body. And so it gets cleaned out through the gut. And of course, it allows you to have a regular bowel movement. So these are always very important. Also, it takes longer to digest and it's a lot healthier for you. Now, thinking about low glycemic over high glycemic index foods. Now, if you are somebody who is a diabetic, you notice that certain fruits will just shoot your sugar up. These are what you describe your high glycemic index foods. These are your watermelons, your pineapples. These are foods that are like, whoosh, whoosh, it's going up. But if you look at your low glycemic index, these are foods don't shoot your sugar up as much. And these are like your strawberries, your raspberries. And they actually help, they actually are, because they have less sugar, they allow you not to shoot your sugar up. So these are important. So choose low glycemic index over high glycemic index. Next, focusing on high fiber versus low fiber. Like I said, fiber is important, especially if you want to clean out your system. But then also it helps you not to feel as hungry because you have so much fiber. So it's important to focus on high fiber foods. Next, unprocessed versus ultra processed foods. Now, as you see in this picture, you have real foods like your oranges, and they become processed when you make like these little orange slices in the little cups, the fruit cups. Or if you have even regular chicken breast, if you take that chicken breast and put it into deli slices, that's more processed. So what they found as far as doing studies looking at ultra processed versus processed foods is that when a group of people start to eat a lot of ultra processed foods, they gradually start to gain weight. And when they switch those same group of people to processed foods, they actually gradually lost weight. So what it shows is that the ultra processed foods have a little bit more in them than just that regular processed food. And to prove my point, let's go to the next slide. So let's look at this canned peaches here. So you have your peach where it has one ingredient, the peach. 55 calories, 3.5 teaspoons of sugar, 0 grams of sodium, one peach. But you could take this same peach and incorporate it into canned peaches, right? How many of us have had canned peaches? I know I have, where it has all the little the syrup in it, and it's really good. Well, that canned peach has 4 ingredients in it. And so that leads to 5 teaspoons of sugar. It's actually more calories than the peach, and it has more sodium. So now we took the same peach, we made canned peaches. Now let's make a packaged peach pie. Well, you can see the difference. 16 ingredients in that pie, 300 calories in comparison to the 55 you have with just the one peach. And then on top of that, 6 teaspoons of sugar and 350 grams of sodium. So the peach pie would be considered your processed food, where your real food is the peach. And so just tell me, which one do you feel is better for you? The peach pie or the actual peach? I'll let you think about it. And because I want to just nail this point a little bit longer, let's look at your apple. So if you look at the apple, it's unprocessed. But if you have applesauce, it's minimally processed. If you go to apple juice in like the little carton, highly processed. Then you get your fruit roll-up apple, even more highly processed. And then you get your gummy bare, ultra processed. So the food we're going to want to stay away from is going to be your ultra processed food. That's going to be the food that's going to have the more impact and allow you to gain more weight. So let's go to our don'ts. Limit highly processed foods. And the top 10 worst processed foods are your chicken nuggets, your hot dog, your fake cheese, Lunchables, Spam. All of these are very highly processed foods that you want to avoid in your diet. Now, let's talk about limiting our energy-dense beverages. Now, how many of us really like diet soda? I love diet soda. When I was in residency, I got hooked on Diet Pepsi. Even though I'm from Georgia, I got hooked on Diet Pepsi, and I love a good Diet Pepsi. But I had to realize that this Diet Pepsi is going to be the death of me because there's so much in the Diet Pepsi, in the Diet Coke, that we're not even aware of, or even the diet drinks. A lot of times we go from where we're drinking lots of sodas and then we're like, hey, well, I'm drinking diet, so it must be good for me. But is it? Let's go to the next. Let's go to see how diet soda affects your body. Well, number one, it increases your risk of metabolic condition. So heart disease, dementia, stroke, liver problems, diabetes, obesity. Because although it may be diet, 0 grams of calories, it may look 0 carbs, it has an artificial sugar that still has to be broken down by the body. So it really makes a difference. And as you can see here, we have the different reasons on what happens to the body in diet soda. So in a nutshell, I want us to focus on the quality of the food that we eat instead of the quantity of food that we eat. A lot of times it's difficult. We crave these different sugars. And you know what? Even if we got our body used to eating just more healthier fruits and vegetables, you may find when you actually do eat a donut, you're like, oh, this is too sweet. Like you see the taste because your body will change. So remember this, quality versus quantity with your food choices. And I thank you so much for joining me on this Facebook Live Monday. I know it's Valentine's, so thank you for joining me today. And I would say, hey, if you're interested in wanting more, join us for the Thrive for Life 8-week online program. And you can register at thriveforlifeprogram.com. And we're starting tomorrow. So get on the bandwagon. We look forward to seeing you. All right, now, have a wonderful rest of your day and see you later.